to the That's Club. My name is Pablo, and I want to thank you for watching and listening. And if you want to do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay current with our content. Today we have a different topic, a topic that I've been talking to friends of mine and people around us because I'm going to include John in this. So, welcome, John. Wait, give me a second. There we go. Welcome, John. That's a
Hey
big.
everyone.
That's a big L right there, bro. Showing a big
So
L.
are the Lakers. So are the Lakers. So
All right,
okay.
bro. Lakers show, I guess.
Hi everyone.
What's up, brother?
Chilling. Ready
Hey,
to get this going.
we've been busy. Let me just make it clear. Me and John, we work together, and we've been super busy carrying stuff up the stairs to the third floor of the church, and our backs hurt. My back hurt. Like, actually, yesterday, I was like, dude, we're dads. Yes, we need to be, in shape and stuff like that. So that actually made me say, you know what, I'm gonna start running again. So I did it this morning, and yeah, it felt,
Nice.
actually a little bit better. I'm not gonna say no, but I've been playing basketball with 15-year-old and 17-year-old kids. So, but let me just put it this way: hey, experience, it's everything. So I've been
Still
winning those.
got it,
I
huh?
still got it, bro. I still got it. What's up with you, bro?
Well, we've literally been working together trying to get our for our church our live stream and slash recording
Oh,
slash media
yeah.
studio slash all that going. So, but yeah, other than that, we're getting over colds. I just got back from um,
A
well,
retreat.
no, my family is I've been over my cold, but getting back from like church retreats and
Is that
yeah,
time of the year?
the life of a worship pastor.
It's that time of the year. It's like it seems like every single year. We used to actually have more activities in the summer, so it's that time of the year. I'm not gonna lie. It's that time of the year, and everybody's busy. Like, me and Maggie, we have the first pair of twins. Our first twins, they're going to camp next week. My wife, who actually works for the church as well, she's gonna have an entire week of camp as well for your kids. And if you're around the Bay Area, just come and see us. I just want to give a shout out to Shiloh Church, Shiloh Kids. That's where my wife works. So hey, listen, and Shiloh Worship as well. Me and John, Shiloh Media, Shiloh, whatever. We're right there.
Production, media, all that.
We're literally just right there. And also, yeah. So you were saying that we're gonna start building on this stuff in the church for the media department, for the audio department. So that goes into the streaming part. That it's a lot of planning. That's a lot of thinking. If you guys see and work for churches, you guys gonna see all this type of stuff that allows you to have the experience to work with stuff that are like broadcasting and audio, professional audio, semi-professional audio, and this is going to add value to you. If you're a volunteer, I encourage you to participate because this is going to give you a little bit of the glimpse in all the skills that you have to run a whole, not a whole show, but it's technically just a whole show. Behind the scenes, it's a lot of people moving, it's a lot of coordination, there's a lot of troubleshooting. That's mostly what you're getting paid for because you know when you're running cables and something happened and wireless mic doesn't work, it could be from the batteries, it's off place, it could be from you know a bunch of stuff. So me and John, that's what we've been doing. A lot of work around the church and planning and trying to get stuff too for our uh, the people who's working with us. Shout out to EJ. You guys know EJ. He was in season one, was number 3, episode 3, something like that. Anyway, but yeah, EJ is gonna be our sound engineer. So shout out to you, brother, wherever you are right now.
Yes, sir.
Funny thing, he's actually
EJ's the goat.
EJ is the goat with no horns. Um, hey, I was gonna give a shout out to Legacy Coffee, but it's kind of like a little issue right here because I have James Coffee, and this hat actually is a it's a birthday gift from John. So
Yes, sir.
hey, anyway, a shout out to Legacy Coffee. It's a coffee.
And James Coffee, if you're watching this, anytime you want to sponsor us too, we'll take it.
Hey, come on, guys, just
Some awesome coffee. San Diego. Where are we? It's in San Diego, right? No,
do James.
where is
Yes,
it?
is in Diego. Yeah,
Yeah, James
J-
Coffee's in San Diego. Legacy
James.
Coffee's up here.
We give shout outs, brother. Actually, I how did I get to know James Coffee? Oh, because of Peter McKinnon. Peter McKinnon. A lot of people actually related to his store, or they thought it was his store, but it's not. So he just liked the logo, he just liked the people, and it's like, hey, I can promote you and stuff like that. So hey, James Coffee, we're here. Legacy Coffee, we give you a shout out too. Um, you know, we
O-
love this guys.
Open some stores in the Bay Area, please.
That would be great. They have good. They have good. They have good coffee too. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, so today, what are we going to talk about today, bro? Well, we've been actually talking about a lot of stuff, but lately, I encounter videos and topics that me and my wife have been actually talking about. To be honest with you, and it comes down to a high value topic or hot topic. Let me just put it among the men, among YouTube, and a lot of people. So, what is a high value man? That's our topic of today. A
Hmm.
high value man. That's interesting because this is a problem with. I see this right. This is a personal opinion. This is a problem with the men's group in our churches or in churches because I see the this men's group they pull back from reality and the culture, and by doing this, I think we make the younger dads and the younger people, younger men, single people, stumble and get disoriented and. But also, some men's groups have that slow pace. If you agree with me, we can actually see that sometimes. It's like hearing my dad saying, like, "Hey, back in my day, blah blah blah," right? It's like, okay, this is boring. Here we go again, right? So, but we need to realize that men are hurting. We need to realize that more than ever because of the mental health issues. Uh, this topic emerged, and a lot of people come out and say, "Hey, I can help you." like, um, I was talking to you about this guy's Rolo Tomasi, this guy who's literally the godfather of the red pill. And then we're gonna touch bases on that a little bit more later. But the question for me will be, how do we connect with all men in all generations, right? How do we keep the connection between this dysfunctions in these different generations? Like uh, in our church, do you agree with me? In our church, we have men of all generations. We have younger kids, and our age, and a little bit seasoned now. But how do we? And that's gonna be my heart moving forward because how do we connect with all these people by not actually having to have boring conversations, right? So, but what do you think?
Um, well, I mean, I think the best, in my opinion, the best um, example is by actually living it.
Yeah,
Actually being physically being the example. Yeah, I can talk till I'm blue in the face to somebody.
yeah,
But if I'm not like actually living or practicing what anything that I'm saying, what weight does it have? Where how can somebody say like, um, yeah, like working out works, but yet I'm
but
like
you're
super out of
overweight.
shape,
Yeah,
and I'm like, like how can I tell somebody you should work out when I'm not working out myself?
right.
Or if, you should eat better and I'm like this overweight, obese guy who's like, and so the best way, you're talking about, and especially with, the newer generation where, you know, yeah, information is available.
Yeah,
You just
like the
you
fingertips.
just go on YouTube, not YouTube. Well, yeah, YouTube University. Go on YouTube. You go on Google. You can Bing. I don't know what search engine y'all use, but you can just search anything,
Yeah,
and the information's there. And so when it comes to life values, and I'm also kind of relating it to, I got young people in my ministry,
correct.
people who are coming up, young musicians, young leaders, where we're like, not only, we were just talking the other day, not only do we like tell them how to do it, we have to show them. We have to show them the right way to do it. And so
Yeah,
it's,
what
yeah,
you said, it was like s- the lack of the sense of how would you say, you said a word. It's common sense, right? It's like you cannot teach common sense to people. But yeah, some people are gonna lack that common sense. Like we had the discussion the other day. Like yeah, yesterday I was telling you what happened on Sunday, and that I actually approached this young man and say, "Hey, listen, we might need to change the shot because it's conflicting, right? It's conflicting with something that we're not supposed to be showing, or it's not prohibited, but we're not. I wouldn't show that into the live stream, right? So he changed it to by the second service. He didn't see that, but you as a leader, you as a dad, you have to see all angles. That's one of the things that I can tell you, that we have to see every single angle possible so we can prevent accidents, so we can prevent stuff. And then, like I said, we talked about this yesterday, but we'll go into that. And but I think, John, it's more of the it's like everybody's allergic to accountability, though. They have an allergic reaction to accountability. As soon as you say the word, it's like, oh no, I'm not touching that. I told you many times, and multiple times we've been discussing how we approach with the young, folks, young people in our church. And the first question for me is like, show me your phone. And then from there it's like, oh, well, you can't see it as out. So if your phone is not clean, how do you gonna be accountable? So you said something very, very important, is like, what you live is important. So it's like a license, right? You have a license for you to show, to say, hey, this license is backing me up, and say I can have a conversation about this topic because I'm an expert in this, right? And it goes every single way possible. You as a husband, you as a dad, you as a leader in the church, where you work, in your work, normal work. uh, if you don't have that license, if you don't prove that you've been going through this, or you overcame that, and like I said, temptations are going to come our way all the time. It's how do you deal with those temptations, right? It's how do you deal with it. And in my case, it's more of a, if a temptation comes my way, I'm going to make sure I turn off whatever is actually happening. Because like I said, we can see in Instagram, we were talking about this the other day. We can see in Instagram, you start flipping up, and scrolling up, I'm sorry, scrolling up your screen, and all of a sudden a feed from another account comes in. Is like, oh, somebody's watching something that you're not supposed to, right? So I told you, in this case, I just block it or just delete it, and I just don't want to see this anymore, right? So it comes my way, yes. Could it trigger something in me? Yes. If you don't have accountability, yes, it's gonna trigger something in you. And this is the way you approach. Um, in my case, I this is how I see it. This is how you approach temptation. Right? You can fall, or you can be accountable and say, "Hey, I'm not gonna touch this. I can see this in the street, or I can see stuff in the street that is gonna trigger me and is gonna say, hey, remember you used to be this way? Well, not anymore. I know how to work it out, because I've been putting this work for so long, and I don't want to go this way. I know how am I gonna end up going this route if I go back at it, right? But yeah, man, it's like everybody's allergic to accountability.
yeah. Sorry, I had to mute because I literally have a garbage truck outside of my
Oh, you're good, bro.
door. Real quick, hold on, real quick. Um,
It's hot, man.
perfect timing. Perfect timing. Waste management. Yeah, accountability. I mean,
Everybody's allergic to it.
temptation. As we're talking about temptation. I mean, unfortunately, uh, it's in our face
Yep.
for men, for
For
dads,
women,
single men, whatever,
all
whatever. For
every
yeah,
single.
for everybody.
Yeah.
Sex, like it's out there. It's used to sell. It's to market. It's out there to yeah, and that's it's just out there.
Yeah.
But I forget who I heard it from, but it's always that second look or that longer look, because whether you're expecting or not, I could be watching freaking Blippy on the on the TV or some sort of something on Disney Channel, and then like all of a sudden there's just a random like half naked lady on the screen, and it's just
Right.
like, wait, what? And so and that's where the scripture is. Again, we're always going back to scripture because it's truth
Yep.
and it's what guides us. Um, but it's uh,
Hey, give me the
gosh,
scripture.
why did
Give
my
me the
mind
scripture.
my mind
Give me the scripture. I can pull it up.
um no, just where we're guarding our minds, we're keeping our keeping your word hidden in our heart, you gosh, I know I'm butchering it right now,
Yeah.
um
I said
but just
more than anything, guard your and protect your mind, for life flows from it.
mhm. Yeah,
And peace of God, which transcends the veil. Here, let's just go through this one right here. For as he thinks, okay, there you go. For it's, I think it's Proverbs 23:7. For as he thinks in his heart, so is he. We think is what we become. Is that what it is?
yeah,
That one.
yeah, yeah.
So it's Proverbs.
And so everything that we see, um man or woman, but I know for men, men are visual
Right.
or visual creatures, and these things make their way into our minds and make eventually make our way to our heart. And so how are we guarding ourselves? I have a young man that I'm mentoring right now who basically was like, I'm not like addicted to porn, but like the urge, the want to
It's
like
becoming a problem.
pull it up, to look at it, to to do what comes with watching porn. Those things are and so I gave him, for one, I commended him because if you're mentoring a young man who's dealing with these things,
Yep.
or if you're dealing with anybody who's dealing with these things, condemnation, judgment is always the hindering part that keeps people from from openly coming to you and saying, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Like, if you're judgmental, if you are critical, if you are if your first response is to condemn someone, no one's going to want to come to you to be accountable to
Not
you.
really, bro. Not really.
Yeah, you can have all the life experience, you can say like, yeah, I've been through that, I've been delivered, but if like you're always coming from like a critical like spirit, or like you're like judgmental from the get, it's hard for anybody to want to come to you. But this young man, he came to me, and he's like, this is what I'm dealing with, and I'm just like, hey, great, great on you for
For
laying
acknowledging it.
down, like laying down your own thoughts, laying down like, man, what if he like gets mad at me, or what if he's like judging me, or whatever. Like, thanks, like, just I commended him over and over and over. Like, this is great. Like, you're able to like push past the thoughts and be like, I'm struggling with something.
That is
And,
okay. Yeah, I think that's a step
and
for you to acknowledge that you are struggling with something. Is the first step to say I need help. First of all, it's like an addict, right? I know people who actually been going through this, and we know people who have been going through this, and the only first thing and uh, uh, the concept of acknowledging that you're going through something, it enable you to say, hey, I'm looking at this issue from another perspective, not from the inside perspective, right? And yeah, no, I mean, we give shout out to this guy, man. It's like not a lot of young people actually can say, hey, I'm dealing with this stuff. Instead of that, they hide it. They hide it.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
And I'm telling you, that was like one of my biggest issues, in staying accountable and being free from the things that were like that I was addicted to. I didn't feel like I can, like, even just like the most trustworthy person. I couldn't just be like, hey, like, because for me,
Yeah.
like, I had fears of my own of like, well, what if I'm like in big trouble, or what if they're gonna like judge me, or if they're gonna look at me like this or that. And it's like that alone held me back so many times from just being open with someone and just saying, hey, like, this is what I'm. And when I was able to do it, when I was actually able to just like say, hey, like, this is what I'm dealing with, like, I don't know how to. And there's so many things, to even just unpack when it comes to just this whole thing. But it's being humble, laying down your pride.
Right.
Like, yeah, you've got an issue, and you're if you've been fighting it for a while, or if you're just kind of dealing with it, like,
Yep.
acknowledging that this is like something that's not healthy, that's not going to benefit you in the long run. Acknowledging it at first, and even just recognizing it
Yep.
is not an easy step.
Yep.
It's not a easy thing to just be like, oh man, yeah. And then there's the whole thought of, well, everybody does it.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, why, it's okay just for little things, but it's the little foxes,
Yeah.
that
That
spoil the
is
vines. The
gonna.
little things, the little things that you allow, you know to allow in, and then the little, the instances here and there that you're just kind of making okay. That's where it gets dangerous.
I think I heard this before with a pastor. He said, "If you come to me for consolation, why do you make why you actually didn't come before to get an advice, right? So don't come to me for consolation when you didn't listen to the advice before, right?" And I'm gonna quote something really quick from Phil Jackson. We and I, we were basketball fans, and we love basketball. I can
Yes.
play, you don't. That's the truth.
Jeez. Wow.
But I'm still, I'm 41 still. Bro, you saw me, bro. You saw me. Don't lie. Don't lie. But
I'm not denying that at all.
uh, Phil Jackson said they asked him, like, how do you approach the solving problems? What's your approach in solving problems? And he said, uh, you need to make sure you take care of the little problems before the big problems. By you eliminating the little problems, you eliminate all the tail. And look at this picture, right? You say little problems, little problems, little problems, mid problems, mid problems, mid problems. So when you start from the beginning and eliminate all the tail first, everything else is going to become easier, because the little problems are gonna become bigger problems. So when you
Hmm.
start inflating those the little problems, the big problems are gonna deflate.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I can see it right in my mind. It's like I can just draw it in that sense. But you said it right. It's a touchy subject for a lot of men, for a lot of people, for even women. And it's something that not a lot of people wants to talk about it. Not a lot of people wants to say anything, or maybe even mention this. Not even in men's groups. That's what we're actually talking about. Because when was the last time you went to a men's group in our church and say, "Hey, we're gonna talk about pornography and masturbation today"? Oh, everybody's like, "Oh no, I don't deal with that." Like, come on, bro. You know, it's a temptation that for every man, for every woman, for every human being. Because why? The enemy is gonna try to uh, touch something very sacred that only belongs to marriage, in your marriage, and it only belongs between you and your wife. I'm not going to discuss anything about the. I'm going to talk code transformer community, but what we believe here, what I believe, what I live, and you live is that a marriage is between a man and a woman, established by
Hmm.
God. If we go something against that, that's between you and God, right? I'm not gonna judge you in that sense, but relationships are uh, relationships are extremely complicated sometimes. When you go into this mode and start saying that this person is not the same as you are, or they don't have the same beliefs, or they don't have the same system when it comes to cleaning the house, let's say, right? And that's why I really don't like that we don't talk about these issues at church, where we're supposed to be talking about it, right? We have the red pill community, and I've been telling you about this stuff, like how the red pill community influences and indoctrinates these young people, these men around, to believe that they are high being, that they're the ones who need to make sure. Well, let me just display this in the way that they see it. Number one, avoid family creation, right? Number two, get a vasectomy in your 20s, which is the dumbest thing you can do. They say that you can, you can actually just get the vasectomy undone and you have a chance you have a chance to to procreate. But if you wait more than 10 years, your chances of becoming a dad or have family, it's 50-50. So probably you're not going to have family in that sense, right? I would not advise for you to do that if you're a younger man, if you are a in your 20s and stuff like that. Please don't do that. That's the dumbest thing you can do. But I'm not going to allow you also to think that you can actually have a high body count, right? So that's one of the things that red pill advises is that you as a man, at least you had to have at least you slept with 50 women before you become a high value man, which is the dumbest thing too. And one of those 50 things, probably you're not gonna have a condom, and probably you're gonna have some
Bugs,
yeah,
STDs.
STDs, you name it. I don't think that's it's a good idea for people to start. Well, they preached all this stuff. Now let's preach what we need to preach. The church has to be taking over this stuff. Oh, at least people who love God and men who love God, they need to start actually talking about this stuff. And that's what we're here. So let's be honest. Let's be realistic. I want to be realistic in that sense. All this advice, the first 3 points, because I have a list of 9 points of, the other ones are like live constantly, uh, become wealthy and stuff like that, and create a network. But one of the things that I really also triggers me is that they a lot if you hear these people talk about how to want to what do they want to become, or how they want to become themselves or want to see themselves, it's is to build an empire, which is, to me, I was like, well, are you a Rome citizen, or to build an empire, you need years and probably generations to build an empire. So it was like, first of all, how about if you work yourself first? You work in yourself. You work in yourself in the stuff that you need to get rid of in order for you to become a high value man. How do we become a high value man? Well, we have scriptures. One of them is it's in Ephesians 5:25. Let me actually just stop this one right here. But we're gonna go through this one, but we'll go to the next one in that. Ephesians, stop screen, percent, share. There we go. All right, if you guys can see in your screens right now, let me show you really quick. And this goes to every man, every husband, every married man, right? Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. That means give your life. You have to. be a provider. And you're going to see this also, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word. This is talking about how God, or how the church, us, we need to present ourselves before Jesus, right? And that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but it should be holy and without blemish. So, men to love their wives as their own bodies, and that loved his wife loved himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh. I let's just stop right there. I was thinking the other day, it's like when I get, because we all know we get upset with our wife sometimes because we don't like something, we did this and this. Like, technically, you just, if you read the Bible, technically you
Oh,
just,
I never get mad at my wife. What?
liar.
Just kidding.
I can testify. No, I'm just kidding.
Kidding.
No, I mean it, like we said, right? Relationships are gonna be difficult. So why? Because we're different characters. We got different perspectives. We have different backgrounds. We come from different family backgrounds. You name it. Now, what being what the Bible says is kind of like, hey, listen, you have to understand that when you marry your wife, when you actually have sex with someone, even the Bible says that you become one flesh, right? So if you're telling me that in order for me to become a high value man, I have to sleep with 50 women, so I literally just multiply myself 50 times. How many soul ties you think we're gonna have? We're gonna
I was
get,
literally about to say
ooh,
that.
girl,
Like, soul ties are real.
brother. You think you have your own issues, but when you start sleeping with other women or people, that that sexual encounter is gonna literally add up. So whatever that the other person is, your significant other, is going through and have mental issues and stuff like that, that's gonna become part of you. But guess what? Hey, I didn't like this girl. Let me just go take the other one, right? Let me just see if I like this girl. Boom, there we go. More, more, more. So you start loading yourself up and carrying all this stuff and then putting that into the other person as well. No wonder why people actually are getting confused with all this stuff. How about if we actually just say, hey, I'm gonna stop having sex with multiple people, and I'm just gonna save myself a marriage, and I'm going to wait for that person, and I'm gonna work on myself before I get to that point.
Hmm.
I mean, John,
Yeah.
everything amplifies when you get married, bro. Everything amplifies. We know that.
Yeah. No, issues don't go away once you get married. Because, we all heard the myth. Once I get married, we're going to have sex every single
Every
minute.
single
And it's going
minute
to be like,
on top of the
nah,
counter,
bro.
on the kitchen, in the bathroom,
Nah.
on top of the TV counter. Oh my God. No, no, no. That's far from
But I mean,
reality.
if you look, if we look at that verse from Ephesians, if you everybody is questioning everything.
Right.
Question these values. Like, really question these values in this verse. Because if you question the values of these high value men, as opposed to the values that Christ is laying out for us, what is the underlying thing? And I was just thinking about this as you were bringing this up.
Yep.
What is the underlying theme of all these values? None of it is selfish.
Yep.
None of it is like this is to build your status and to make you this and to build your empire and to make you this and that. It's like, no. Like, when you start really, like, when it becomes all about you, that's where it's like, and so you think it's positive. You can be like, I'm putting, you know yeah. And so, all that to say, I think, this concept of a high value man, of taking on, these are values that are created by men, and men
Yep.
in their own selfish nature, selfish hearts. Like, they're going to be selfish values. Man is naturally sinful.
Yep.
Whether you think
Yep.
so or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man is naturally sinful. We are we're born
We
into that.
see that into our kids, right? Like they just. I mean, we just had newborns right now, right? But you can see they one of them, in my case, right, Elizabeth, which is the youngest one. She has a fighting character, right? She just goes and start like she wants her way. You can say, and the other one is a little mellow. She smiles more, but you can see the character, the sinful nature. I'm sorry, I'm calling my girls sinful. I mean, they everybody is sinful, but it's just an example of what John is saying because if you believe that you are not blemish and you are a saint and you have no sin in your life, like please give me a break. Like you in your life at least lied before, you stole something before, or you even thought about actually stealing something. We all have these thoughts, we have this mind of us that it's gonna allow us to create the right choice or follow our sinful nature, just like you said, right? So,
Yeah. Well, that's where having the values of Jesus really really going over them with a microscope. Like
oh
you
yeah,
know we look at values of like celebrities and the things that they do. Like, yeah, they get to charities and they're like great looking and all this kind of stuff. They invest their time in themselves. And I'm not saying every single celebrity is whatever. All I'm saying is you look at Jesus, you see humble, you see somebody who is not doing things for himself.
right.
He's doing things, because one, his father commanded him to, which is God,
He had a mission. Yeah,
and he had a mission. But like everything was for everybody else,
yeah,
to make sure people like were healed, were set free. Like, of course, God used all these things, all these miracles were to point back to Jesus, back to God, to say like
right, correct.
this is what being part of the kingdom, being a these are the benefits. And so you look at all these values and you look at them under the microscope and ask, like, why was Jesus so, like, why was he so set about loving others, loving one another? Why is that the greatest commandment?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
why isn't it about, like, if we're living in this day and age, like, especially how it translates to time now?
right.
Why aren't any of those commandments like look out for yourself and make sure that, like, your image is like, why is it not like that? And so we look at these values of Jesus
Yeah,
and placing love, compassion, grace, mercy, like placing these high on his value list is what made Jesus approachable, is what made people able to come to him and even break the most expensive things that they own, and pour it out on his. Wow, I'm about to start crying.
I mean, right.
Um, the things that were just so valuable to them.
Hmm.
They were just like, hey, Jesus, this is my life. Like, this is where I'm at. And Jesus is like, hey, go and sin no more. I'm not judging you, whatever.
Yeah,
Like, your faith has healed you.
yeah.
And it's like, it's that easy now. But I think we have just this society that's like,
It's a splitting society. If you're talking about love, I think the main purpose of what Jesus came to is to show love, but that love is going to create a unity that we need. That all this ideologies, proxologies, I will say, are primarily have as a plan, right? To have the word of genders, right? The sex against sex, women against men, indoctrinating the young
whites
community,
against
our
blacks.
kids.
Yeah.
It's like there's this unity, there's a breaking this unity, a false unity, because now I don't belong to your group. Now you're a homophobic because I don't belong to the red pill main community. Now I'm not a masculine guy. Now because I don't belong to the feminist, I'm against the feminists, right? I don't belong to that person. So I no wonder why people get like disoriented. Let's just say here, like, who am I? What do I belong to, right? And that's actually when you say that Jesus comes in place and say, hey, let me give you your true identity, which is based on me, which is based on Jesus, not me, but personally. I'm impersonating in that sense, right? But it's based on Jesus, right? Jesus came to give you that value that probably you lost. There was an example years ago where a pastor says, like, he pulled a $50 bill and it's like, hey, I'm just gonna wrinkle it, right? And he's like, did the bill lost his value? He said, no. Okay, let me just make it a little tiny bowl and then just open it again. It's wrinkled. Yes, it is wrinkled. But did it lose its value? No, it didn't. It didn't lose its value, right? So what the enemy with this thinking, this group of people are literally just saying is that you have a value according to yourself. You become a god. You become something that you create yourself. Like I was telling you, they create empires. Like, please give me a break. You're not gonna create an empire. You creating your own fall. That's for sure. But
Well, that's how Satan got kicked out of heaven. Is he tried to he tried to make himself
above God.
above God? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Satan's real, y'all. If you don't know, the devil, Satan, he's real, and his main objective is to steal, kill, and destroy, confuse, to do all these things
this is
to
exactly
stop you
what's happening right now. Confusion.
from knowing your true identity in God, for one, like to confuse you, to put all these things in this world to say like to rob you basically from the real identity and path that the Lord has for you. And so you got to recognize those things too.
Right.
When it comes to these values and what people are saying are. So yeah, when you're making these values that don't line up with God's, you're potentially creating pacts with. I'm just gonna say it's a bold statement, but
Yeah. No. No.
you're
No.
creating
You're
a
right.
pact
No. You're right.
with the devil. Like,
Right. Well,
I
no.
am not gonna do what is good
Yeah.
and what is upright and what is holy. I'm gonna do the other things, which
Uh,
is put
everything.
my put,
Everything against
sleep
God.
around with everybody.
So that's I was talking with somebody about this. It's the antichrist solution, right? Everything that Jesus told us, that God is telling us how to live a godly life, how to live a good life, how to live a life without any complications. Complications. Let me just say that, right? If we complicate ourselves, well, what
We
happened
make it
was
complicated.
is, bro. I mean, God is literally just telling us this is the way. This is how you live your life. This is how you not complicate stuff. But it's your decision, it's your choice to pick anything you want. I was telling you yesterday about God. Like, why somebody was asking me, why what do you think God is not doing anything against what's happening in the world? He's still sitting down in the throne, over the throne, and he's just having patience. He's literally given us an opportunity to react, to have a reaction in the right and it just come to your senses, right? uh the Everything the enemy is trying to do is everything is antichrist, right? You don't love your wife, but God says you have to love your wife. You don't give your life for your wife, but the Bible says that we have to give, men have to give their life for their wives, as Jesus gave his life for us. So it's kind of like, no, 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 no. You gotta live your own life. No, 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 no. God is saying that we have to give in order for you to become a high value man and efficient leader. You have to be a servant, right? So it's a give and take. What are you gonna give in order for you to gain what God is offering to you today, right? Uh, let me just go with this. Let me pull this uh, video from I was showing you about the Jordan Peterson about what a high value man in 2023 is. Let's just play this. Share my screen, share my window, and here we go. Can you see it right there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. Let's just play it.
Be a little stronger, dress a little better, speak a little more clearly, aim a little higher, like, and practice that, and that'll work. Right? So women mate across and up success hierarchies, and men mate across and down. Right. So, and the women like men who are about 4 years older, cross culturally. They like men who manifest signs of success, as well as being handsome and personable and all of that. And the reason for that, as far as I can tell, is that they're looking to equalize the economic disparity that exists because women take a harder hit from sex and pregnancy than men. So they're
And that is true. Actually, I was talking to somebody yesterday about this subject. It's like, I was playing basketball in with with Noah and all these kids right there, and then I was explaining upstairs in my wife's office. Everybody was there. They were just getting ready to start the day to work, and then all of a sudden this conversation came out. I was like, well, what do you think about this stuff? And so I started just literally laying down what's going on. Right? I believe yes, men and women are different. I believe that we have to treat men, we have to treat women with dignity, with respect, give him a high place because Jesus gave his bride, is he giving his bride a high place, but at the same time, we got to be humble and understand that both parties have to come to an agreement to say, I'm here to serve, and the other one is going to say, I'm here to serve too. So we are all gonna serve each other because that's exactly what the main example of what Jesus said. We have to be servants, right? But I believe
Mm-hmm.
physically we're not built the same, right? You and I, as men, we can actually go to the gym, pull a little bit more, getting a little bit stronger, boom, 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 build that muscle and stuff like that. We become stronger, right? But if you start playing basketball against a young lady who doesn't lift, and you put it against a boy or a man who doesn't lift, normally the man is going to be a little bit stronger. But when it becomes as giving birth and have that high tolerance pain, I'm disqualified. I give it to my wife. I give it to the women. Right? We're not gonna be qualified for that. And I'm not gonna say, oh, I got high tolerance. Like I think there's examples right here in videos that we can watch when actually they trying to emulate the labor pain, and they just try to put it into the man. The man passed out it for like 5-10 minutes. So hey, listen, we're not built the same physically. We're not, right? So what is a high value man? Someone who actually knows how to serve others.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually ask me that question, and someone who is accountable, right? What do you think?
Yeah. No, I don't. We there's a whole talk about
Yeah.
gender, like equality, and fair pay in the workplace. Women should get paid the same. I'm not going to get into all of that,
No, we're not.
but we have to come to an understanding and also an agreement that there are strengths that women have that men will not have, and
Yeah.
there are strengths that men have that women will not have. And I'm even like, and again, we are not transphobic, we are not
Nope.
like homophobic, we're not anything, but and I'm looking at the stories of like even this the story of Leah Thomas, who was who is a man. I'm going to say who is a man who didn't do well in men's swimming. Didn't do well at all. Placed like I think even like in the 200s.
Right.
Who then decides to then, who
To
wants to change his
identify.
sex, identify as a woman, and is now like first place. And it's like, why do you think that's like an NBA player saying like they're not like they're just not making it, they're not great and just dominating in the WNBA. Like
Right.
it's not the same. Like to have a woman
So
playing football. That's why we don't see women football players right now. And so anyhow, we're not trying
no,
to
we're not trying to
get
go into
into
that.
this.
Yeah.
But there's a truth, even a fundamental truth, that there are things that women can do, and things that men can and things that men can do, and then there's things that we can't do. I could not have a baby.
No, we're not. We're not. That's what I'm saying. Like
The stretching, the carrying, the patience that needs
I mean,
to even birth
I'm
like a child
dying.
is. You've seen 5 of them, but it's like what it takes, and then to carry 2 at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh come on,
No, I mean,
like
my wife, because she was going with the last pregnancy, she was going through so much pain, and it was like there was night that she couldn't actually sleep, she couldn't just be comfortable, right? And because the doctor said like, well, her womb is a little bit more stretched out, that the babies are gonna have more space, so the babies are gonna take the place. And you can see my babies right now; they're 18 pounds, 3 months right now, so they're big. And but I told my wife, I was like, oh my God, you're going through something right now, and I will lift a monument right now because you deserve it. I think it becomes to looking at our partners, looking at our significant others, and say you're going through something, and I I don't know how to express. I don't know how to make you feel that you're so valuable. To me, that was the moment. It's like I'm trying to live that moment all the time to say, you gave so much for us. You gave so much for giving birth to my daughters, that you deserve so much, right? And let me just do my part. Let me just do even more for you, because I love you, because we are one, because I see the value in this, and this is gonna make me a high value man, knowing and understanding that giving my life for my family, giving my life for my wife, giving my life for my daughters, giving my life for what I believe God has given me and trusted me to take care of as a man, is
mhm.
something that I need to make sure I see the value in it. And that's why we have all this, cheating guys, on cheating husbands on their wives, because they lost the value. They lost actually the compass of what actually your call is. Your call is to be the high priest of your house, a provider for your house. Your call has to be the one who gives and lays down his life for his family. And I think a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of men don't realize, that we're losing terrain in this area. And that's why I'm going against the men's group in the churches. I'm going, and I'm talking about this guys, and this particular groups in the church, that a main conference probably is not going to display what's going on. We're just going to pump people up, and they say, hey, you guys can do this, and we are here, and then we're going to have a barbecue, and outside we're going to have a bunch of what he said, motorcycles, so we can actually take pictures, and boom, there we go. That was our main conference. But what are you taking? What are you taking home? How are you gonna teach this generation to not compromise? How are you gonna teach them how to be accountable? What's the next steps to accountability, right? So
Mhm.
again, I'm not against the men's group, but how do we talk to these generations? Again, we're going back to the same question, right? We're busy having big conferences again, but like fighting over the lack of accountability in society, and internet intoxication and indoctrination in men of all ages, right? But what are we doing?
Yeah. I think
What are we doing?
that's a the $1 million question. What are we doing?
I mean,
What are we doing? Yeah.
man, if you're listening, just let us know what's your opinion on this. Put your comments down below. That'll be great. And this men's our leader, and unfortunately, even women take the place of a man. I was having a conversation. Speaking of women leading in churches, right? You and I, we come from a church where a woman was the lead pastor. She was over the men, right? And a lot of let me just move into this subject, right? Of why women are taking over uh, these places based on the a Bible discussion. You can see that God entrusted this services as only for men, right? But what happened when the men are failing? What happened when the men are not hearing the call? What happened when the men are not taking his place? God is going to use anyone. God is going to use a woman. In this case, in our case, Shiloh Church was founded by Pastor Violet Kite, right? If you don't know her story, we can actually make a little pause later in another section, and we can actually say where does she come from and stuff like that. But I got the privilege to call her grandma. She taught me a lot. She taught me Bible college 101 in her office. I was listening and I had writings from her, and I value all this stuff, right? I didn't see that I was less of a man because I was listening to this woman who heard from God, who heard the call from God, and that doesn't make me a less value of a man because I'm being taught by a woman, right? But when a man, again, when men don't hear the call and they're running away and they're running behind their urges and they're running with other women, and pastors are cheating on their wives, and pastors are cheating on their wives with the church, because not only with another woman physically, but you can cheat on your wife. If you're a pastor, if you're listening to this, you can cheat on your wife with a church.
Mm.
I'll be honest with you. You can cheat on your wife with work. We can cheat on your wife with a lot of stuff like this. So, what happened when a man don't hear the call? God is gonna use anyone. I told you about yesterday, right? I feel God was telling me that we are bench players. Period. You hear the call, you're ready to you got to be ready to play. You got to bring your A game because this is the game where you're gonna show up, and this is the game where you gonna show what you got. But at the end of the day, we're all bench players, pastors, leaders, servants, altar call people, right? Elders in the church, even dads, moms. We are all bench players, ready to make sure we are available for the call. So yes, when God is not when God is looking for someone, He's gonna take the most capable, in this case, was Pastor Violet Kiley in our church to build a church that has been over 50 years in the Bay Area. And she's from Canada. So respect, salute. And at some point, actually, Pastor David, which it was her son, she became, she was pregnant when she came here, or she already had Pastor David, and then Pastor David took over the church years later. But just the fact that she was hearing and listening to the voice of God and the call of God against all this taboos and uh, uh, you know I don't know how to say it. It's just like people against women preaching the word of God and leading men to
Well, don't forget the fact that she's this little white woman
yeah,
from
yeah.
Canada, starting a church in Oakland during the time where segregation was like
Ooh, yeah.
still a thing. Like people were segregating. Racism. I mean, racism's uh,
Yeah, and they
it
started
is
in a
what it is.
house.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
she went against kind of what was, and so without people like that, yeah. people answering the call, people like whether you're a man or woman. I think
Right.
it's just you hear the call of the Lord. You follow what the Lord's calling you to do. If we follow His plan for our lives, there are people that we're supposed to be impacting
Right.
in that path, because again the values of Christ are to yeah to follow God, to do that, but it's to get others to follow God,
Right.
to get others to help people be free from the things that they're addicted to, that they're bound to. um and so if Pastor Violet wasn't obedient to her call, if she chose to not live this kind of set apart life, apart from what was happening in the
Yeah.
culture even then, like, where would I even be?
You and I.
Like,
I
where would
would.
my family, where would you be? Where would like this
I
church,
would
and
be in Florida
church?
right now. I was gonna go to Florida instead of actually coming here. So.
Yeah, I
Whew.
mean, the church is a building.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah. Yeah.
course, the church is the body of Christ. It's the people in it,
Right.
but her obedience to
To
God's
the call.
voice and to His call
Like
allowed people
everything,
like me
everything
and
you can think
Pablo.
of, it's against her. If you if you
Yeah.
if you think about it, John, everything was against her.
Hmm.
Against, like, she didn't have a husband. Her husband died in the Second World War.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, she had a son. She came to the Bay Area with a son. They didn't have a house. They didn't have nothing. They just literally start. She started with everything from scratch, right? Just following the call of God.
Going in faith too.
I mean, and
Yeah.
she became a leader for a lot of people who had, I can say, in our church, healthy marriages, uh, healthy lives. She in came to a point where the hippies were, it was a hot commodity, right? Become a hippie, it was like technically against everything, a rebel, you name it, right? And she brought all these people to the church, and then they saw the movement and the call of God on her life, and say, "Hey, you know what? I think I want to give my life to Jesus." Boom, boom, boom. There we go. A bunch of people start coming in, and then all of a sudden, the church we start growing and growing and growing. So my question for all the men again is like, are you gonna hear the call of God? Are we hearing the call of God in our lives? Are we listening to what God is calling you to do? Your first ministry, your first call, men, is your family. Your first call is your marriage. Take care of a marriage. Take care of your wife. Take care of your family. Take care of that relationship. Take care of your spouse. Take care of the relationship between you and your kids. It's important, right? We see these generations lost, and we see the generations after Joshua in the Bible that they did not know, they didn't know God because they start following their urges. They start following other gods. They start following other people because there was never a chance for them to teach them about what God has called them to do. It's on us, bro. It's on us.
Yeah. Yeah, and the sad part is, I mean, it's not sad because we all have the choice,
Yeah.
but when um we don't make the choice to follow what God's calling us to do, he's gonna raise up someone else. I don't know about you. I don't want someone else to be raised up. I want
Oh,
my life to be effective.
yeah.
I want to have made an impact in some way in at least one person's life. But you're right. Like, my impact's got to be, especially in the season now, is my impact on my wife, my impact on my kid, my son. Like, how am I impacting them? How am I empowering them, showing them the way, like being the example that they need,
Yeah.
and it all starts from the choices to follow the values of God, not trying to be a high value man. Because if I'm trying to be a high value man according to your these definitions, I would have
This is
lost this family a
proxology.
long
It's
time
not. It's
ago.
not even It's not even ideology. It's just a proxology. It's just simply
Yeah,
a, a different behavior for what we've been called in our lives, right? So
yeah, yeah. And so, the values that my father instilled in me, like I'm able to then instill it into my son, and he'll
right,
be able to instill it into his children going down the line. And so, going it all goes back to the enemy wants to steal, kill, destroy. He wants to stop our bloodlines, to stop
yeah,
the legacies that we
the,
that we pass on.
right,
And so when we're choosing this other lifestyle, we're cutting off our next generation. We're cutting off the values that my son's generation is gonna need so desperately.
yeah. Well, we gotta come with that mentality, right? Ready to serve. I think everybody wants to be a leader. Everybody wants to be the first one. And when you become a leader in the kingdom of God, you have to be ready to serve. You gotta be the last one. And
Hmm.
there's a purpose why I think in a pack, in a wolf pack, the alpha technically is the last one to go after, right? He's taking care of the whole pack, making sure everybody's going the right way, the right direction. Uh, why we can't be like saying, I'm gonna be a servant. I'm gonna be a servant for my family. I'm gonna be serving my family. I'm gonna be serving my wife, making sure that Mother's Day it's a special day, and not only that, but every single day is gonna be special. Can we just make sure we don't, I'm gonna speak to my wife in a different way, not in a different tone, and the tone that is gonna, you know, I'm gonna be on her good side. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes is not that way, right? We make things worse by the way we respond, by our tone. And how do we make sure we don't get to that point where you say, I want to go into the D word, like we said, right? The divorce. We don't want to get into that point. I made a commitment to my wife, never say that word. And as of right now, me and my wife, we're committed to each other. We're committed to our family, and mostly just we're committed to our kids, right? And we have a life together. I wanna make sure that when my daughters get out of the house and they're ready to live their lives, me and my wife we're gonna have this solid relationship. Me and my wife we're gonna stay and we're gonna have a relationship of being friends also, and we're gonna build this relationship for until the end of our lives, right? So, man, I think this is a good discussion for a lot of people. Hopefully you guys can hopefully you can understand where we come from. It triggers me that in men's groups and churches they don't teach you stuff like this. They don't have these conversations. They don't go into these conversations because sometimes they're touchy subjects, right? But the indoctrination of all this high value men in the red pill community, blue pill community, and purple, you name it, any type of pill, it's gonna be available. So how what if we ask God what He wants from me? What if we come to God and say, hey, listen, I don't know how to live this life. I don't know how to handle my problems. I don't know how to handle my marriage. I don't know how to handle myself.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing. You created me. Can you just guide me? Can you just tell me? Let's be humble. If we're humble with God, He's gonna come and meet us in the middle and just say, "Hey, listen, hold my hand, and I'm just gonna give you the guidance that you need. I'm going to give you my spirit. I'm going to give you my wisdom. I'm going to give you stuff. Read the Bible. Sit down. Now, not only have now we didn't have just an encounter with God, but we having a relationship with God. And then based on that relationship, there's going to be values. There's going to be a call. There's going to be a standards that we have to follow, right? The accountability. We're talking about accountability and all this stuff. So hopefully you
Yeah.
men can understand that. I mean, I think this it's been pretty good though so far. So I don't know,
Yeah.
almost an hour. But thank you, John. Thanks for being on. I mean, you're part of this. So
Yeah. No, and as you're saying, you know, we're here for you guys. We're here for
Yep.
you guys, and even ladies who are jumping on this, who are just here. But you know we're here to empower the men, and um, to promote you know healthy relationships, to
Yeah.
promote healthy mindsets, perspectives. And if you're dealing with identity, or dealing with and um, your just even your role, or your what you're even supposed to do,
Yeah.
we are here for you. We have resources where we can point you to where you can get information, where
Yep.
you can get help, where you can even get yourself surrounded around like-minded people, or people who can push you in the right direction. The resources are there.
Yeah.
And so that's if you ever had those thoughts in your mind, well, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, or where I'm supposed to get help. There are resources. There are solutions. There are people who have gone through what you've gone through, and are here to help support you. And so, um, yeah, no, I second what you're saying, and we're here for you all. If you have any questions or anything, go ahead and put it in the comment for us.
Yeah, we're gonna put it in this.
We are fit.
I started with a description, a bunch of I put a bunch of information right there. So you got my email, you got John's email, you got John's profile and stuff like that. So yeah, just make sure you understand that you have help. You got help. Try to get into a community where they can actually push you to the limit where it says, you need to make a change in your life. This is not working. Uh, I mean, the question again is, you've been doing this for I don't know how old our audience is and how old are you who are you watching, but you've been doing this yourself your entire life. How's that working for you? If you don't know how to work it out, I mean, I'm 41. I'm still learning. John, he turned what? How long you turned? Like 39. You're 39, right? Come on, bro.
31.
Yeah, right.
No, 39.
You're almost there,
39.
bro. Don't give me that. But yeah, we're over 30. Let me just put it that way. So it was still even actually trying to find our way and say, hey, I don't know how to be a dad. Like we spoken in the last uh, podcast. We don't know how to be dads. We don't know how to be parents. Like it's difficult. So we recognize that our parents didn't have all the tools, and the tools that actually in this era are more available more than ever, they didn't have it, right? So let's take advantage of the tools. There's information right there. Not every single thing out there is for you. You have to come and regulate and have a filter, spiritually filter in your mind to say, hey, let me see what God says about this, and then we'll go from there, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody knows that, but if you are looking for a church, and if you're in the Bay Area, come to Shiloh Church. We're here for you. We're here for a development in your life, and we can actually help you in that sense. Find you the right resources for you as well. And if you're in another place, another part of the world watching this, I've seen that there's people watching us in Cambodia, which is funny, but hey, I encourage you to find a group of people who loves God, a church. Involve yourself with a church. Give yourself to the church, because we all need community. So that's something that we can testify, right? We've been in this community
Yeah.
for so many years. So all right, brother. Well, I guess this is it. Thank you so much, Pablo and John here. Thanks for watching and listening to the That's Club podcast. It's been a long week, bro. It's been a long week, and this week is coming again. I guess it's like slapping in the face. It's gonna be all over again. We have a lot of meetings. We have a lot of. I gotta take care of the babies while my wife is working. I gotta work at church at the same time. So hey, we're here to serve. Yes, and you know what? Let's just dismiss the podcast with this. We are here as trees. The Bible calls us that we are trees. We are here to give fruit. We are here to give fruit. We are here to the people and that fruit, when people comes, they're gonna take the fruit and they're gonna pull it out of your branches. That's gonna hurt. Yes, tiredness, you name it, right? So, hey, if you don't get fruit, you gotta be cut off.
Yeah. Yeah. The fruit
uh
just falls off and dies, and then you eventually die too.
yep.
We're all gonna leave.
No, no,
But
no, that's it.
yeah.
Hey,
Amen. We're here for you. This podcast, yeah. And again, this we're not here for the likes, and they're appreciated.
I
But
mean they help.
like, comment,
I'm not gonna say
subscribe.
no.
They help absolutely. But everything we do is for y'all.
Yeah,
So
we're putting all of our time right here. Like I said, we both have our jobs, and eventually, actually, I'm gonna get another job because I already have some interviews. That's gonna be another job. So I'm gonna be super busy. We are gonna be super busy, but we are doing this. We're committed to do this. God called us to do this. I feel, and we're gonna keep on pushing. We're gonna keep on striving to get things better, to be better, to work on ourselves, and make sure we can serve our families with this. And I think that will be the main topic and subject for the Dads group and the Dads club, right? Uh, to be servants of a family.
yeah.
How are you going to be a leader? By you fulfilling the needs of your family. So here we are. Thank you again for thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. And I guess deuces.
Bye. Bye, everyone.